G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a Bloodied Radium rifle with 25% faster fire rate and plus 50 damage resistance whilst aiming. A very good set of legendary effects on a Radium rifle. Obviously, it all synergizes pretty well together. Bloodied for damage per shot, 25% faster fire rate for DPS, and for a bit of survivability, the 50 damage resistance whilst aiming will not go amiss. So the Radium rifle is one of those super rare weapons that is exceptionally rare to get parts for. That's why you don't see many people using these things, plus the handmade rifle is superior in terms of damage anyway, so people just tend to skip this thing. But it is a rare sight, and it is sort of a novelty weapon, but it's got enough damage about it that you can actually do pretty well with it. So we're doing 41 damage with this and 15 radiation, so you know that's pretty useless for anything but PvP, but I won't be shooting other players. There's honestly not a lot I could do there that I couldn't do better with a Bloodied Firerate handmade anyway, and honestly, the radiation damage is negligible when it comes to PvP anyway. That's just kind of there for flavor, I suppose. So, this thing's got a powerful auto-receiver doing 41 damage, which may not seem like a lot, and you'd be right, but when we get this thing up and running, we might actually theorize this thing to be a queen killer. We'll see how that works, but going over the attachments, because it's a little bit important, because like the combat rifle, the Radium rifle does have a bit of kick to her. So we've got the stabilized long barrel to reduce the recoil, and the aligned stock. Normally I'd say, yeah mate, go with the stabilized stock as well, but basically what happens is it flattens out your vertical recoil, but you still get all the horizontal recoil. So as you're firing, you'll find the weapon kicking like that, which is very hard to counter. However, if I use the aligned one, which is equipped now, she goes more in an up direction, which is a lot easier to counter. But if you want to use this thing in VATS, all of that stuff is out of the picture anyway. But, you know, if not using this thing in VATS, I definitely would recommend the aligned stock. And I might actually revise my attachments selections on any combat rifles that I might find to see if it holds true there. And obviously, we've got a reflex sight for VATS accuracy and zooming in a little bit further. And a suppressor is there for sneaking. That was a very hard suppressor to unlock, so I'm really glad I've got it. Let's go ahead and chuck on some perks with this thing, shall we? And if you notice the picture looking a little bit different, it's because I've got NVIDIA doing a little sharpness filter, which makes the game a little bit sharper. It's nice having a little bit less blur. But we've got ourselves 3 riflemen, commando perks, that's what we want, and also Bloody Mess. We've also got Covert Operative and Mr. Sandman. We'll chuck those on to make sure we get the best out of our sneak criticals, so you got to chuck on the Mr. Sandman first, then find Covert Operative and chuck that on. We should be getting 3.7 times, 3.75 times multipliers, because the time is at 9 o'clock. So better get moving now, because that won't last forever. But now we're doing 75, which is, that's pretty good, but we can boost that even further. And just to give you a little bit of perspective, we're doing 75 ballistic, and we're getting outpaced by the handmade. When these were completely unspec'd, they're only 9 damage apart. This thing did 41 and this thing did 50, but as you can tell, as we get the multipliers going, the gap will increase. Okay, we're on a 20% health right now, which gives us Nerd Rage and a bunch of extra stats from the unyielding armor that I'm currently wearing, which is just there. Pause if you want to actually see what they're doing. And now we're getting 234, which is pretty good. I think the handmade gets 285 at this stage, so we're dropping behind, but, you know, when it comes to regular ass mobbing, we probably won't see too much of a difference. If we're fighting something bigger like a queen, or maybe even a little bit smaller with a scorched beast, we might see a little bit of difference there, but there's a couple of things that the Radium rifle does better. Alrighty, let's start off by slaughtering some ferals, shall we? And one of the things this thing does better than the handmade is AP usage. I'll just make a note here that I don't have the less AP usage per shot VATS enhancer on the legendary effect list, so keep in mind as you view the effects of this thing when I'm firing in terms of its AP use per shot. As you can tell, it's incredibly efficient, making it incredibly useful with a perk like Gun Through, which will give you extra VATS kill speed and extra damage depending on how many times you spec into it. Honestly, the functionality part of it is enough. I think you can get away with just doing that. Now we are using the perforating mag, which I didn't give a little mention before. Basically, that is just for superior armor penetration, and we're only missing out on, I guess, an extra 5 bullets out of the stinging mag, so I'd take that extra penetration over whatever extra bullets we get, because 5 isn't really a whole lot, to be honest. And, you know, if we want to spec into doing reloads all the time. We can just chuck on quick hands, which gives us a nice chance, but I'm happy with the VATS perks as they are. And the mag size doesn't really matter that much, even if we're in a situation where we're surrounded by many ghouls, because we can simply not get hit by them. It'd be a different story if they were, you know, knowing where we are, and I'll try to demonstrate that on what ghouls we've got left, which is just the one of them. Yeah, as you can tell, it takes 2-3 shots to kill them, rather than the one that it would take normally, although I was probably shooting them for more. And I had messed up my perks, apparently. Well, I'm sure that the extra 2.5, or the 0.25 multiply would have made all the difference in the world. No, it wouldn't have. Let's move on to something else. Killing Swan should be a piece of piss. Yep, just as Count Dooku predicted. You know, I'd quite honestly like to see a buff in the Radium Rifle, because, you know, having the mods so hard to get would make it more justified to actually grind for if it did more damage than the handmade, which is an easily more accessible weapon, especially if you know where to get the plans or have the caps to purchase them. So, yeah, I don't know. The game doesn't really incentivize you to use it at all, and maybe it's Bethesda saying, well, if it was that easy to obtain, everybody would just use it in PvP, which they don't, because everybody's too busy using explosive energy guns, which are broken and need to be removed from the game. But, you know, having that add a little bit extra edge for its rarity and its difficulty of getting the mods would make it more justified, but that's just my 2 cents. And if you think the Mirelurks weren't done with me, well, they really weren't. Now, when you've got a recoil weapon like this, or a weapon that produces this much recoil, burst firing is recommended, because even if you do manage to pull the sights down, the muzzle's just going to go all over the place. So yeah, definitely a VAT-centric weapon this thing is. I don't really know why the grass was so angry at me, or why the grass is so angry in general at the cranberry bog. It makes very loud noises. Also, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this last video when I used the Radium Rifle, but they actually changed this thing suppressed noise, so it doesn't sound the exact same when it's unsuppressed, which I didn't actually pick up on in Fallout 4. I just thought it's, because it's a Radium Rifle, it's got to sound different, right? But no, they've changed it. There's still a little bit of that how would I describe it? There's a little bit of a roar, I suppose. It sounds suppressed though. They've actually done a pretty good job with the sounds on this thing, because you know how it makes that roar when you fire the thing without the suppressor. It's kind of like a tire roar, but with radiation. There's radioactive bullets flying through the air. Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, if you listen really closely, which you probably can't hear with my commentary, it's kind of there, it's a nice and subtle effect, because they could have easily just used like combat rifle sounds instead and called it a day, because it's firing the same round, right, make the same noise. But no, they decided to either make the noise from scratch, or they decided to just chuck it in there because they realized they had the thing all along and just didn't put it in since Fallout 4. If it was the former, though, that begs the question as to why they did it, because I can guarantee that 90% of the player base wouldn't have unlocked a suppressor on the Radium Rifle yet, so a lot of effort and time would have been put into giving it a sound which most players will never ever hear. Okay, time to pay close attention to this weapon's performance, because depending on how well it goes against the Scorch Beasts, we can use it as a template as to see whether it can actually be useful in a fight against a queen. Obviously, when there's things that are getting in the way of my sneak attack criticals, I wouldn't be getting nearly the same power, so yeah, just a bunch of robots, that's fine. Unfortunately, I have to switch my VATS aim to the thrusters and the torsos of the robots, depending on which they are. Most of them are gutsies though, ballistic gutsies, so make sure you keep your distance, hit the thrusters, and you'll be laughing. So that's probably that Scorch Beast aggro. It looks like he did take a little bit of damage from the gutsies, but he's a tanky bastard. The gutsies won't be able to take him unless I've got an extra, I don't know, a couple of extra guns. Let's just get you nice and hit with... Yeah, okay, so obviously concentrated fire is going to be absolutely massive. If only I had unyielding bits with extra AP refresh, then I'd be bloody unstoppable with this thing, because, you know, that's pretty good. Now, when we aim down sights, obviously we get that extra little bit of resistance, which could be useful if they decide to scream at us. But like I was talking about before, the recoil on this makes it a little bit difficult, and for some reason I've been put in danger already. Alright, you're just Okay, so without the sneak criticals, we struggle a little bit, as you can tell. I don't know what happened there, but I just sort of sprung into danger. Let's not walk back into the acid. That's no good. Oh, there's more gutsies around. I feel like that wasn't my fault. That was just the game being weird, because generally sneaking doesn't behave like that, and we're just, yeah. Okay, it might have been the officer because they need a higher perception or something, but yeah, very weird behavior. But as you can tell, we can kill the Scorch Beast very quickly, and this thing isn't even primed, so you know, if you want to see this particular Radium rifle against the Queen, I might actually have a shot. This time I'll manage to actually put 3 in concentrated fire instead of 2, and 1 in the flux pulling perk. What's that one called? Green Thumb. So it'll be a little bit more effective. So, you know, and also when we aim down sights on the downtime in VATS, as our AP regenerates, we'll have an extra little bit of resistance too, assuming that actually does happen. And we can test that now, I suppose. Well, usually when you fire a heavy gun, that thing comes up there. Maybe it's something that is unmarked. Hang on, let me check something real quick. No, I want to go to my apparel. So 207 if we aim down sights for a little bit. Look at me, game, I'm aiming down sights. Yeah, I'm not really sure if it even works. Maybe I'd need to do more testing on that, but if it does work, then it'd be useful. So if you've been following all of the people on YouTube, everyone's getting a little bit upset and a little bit worried about this COPA thing, basically the US government trying to protect children or something online. And they'll penalize you if your content is for children and you mark it not to be for children or something like that. So to prove that I am not, this video is not for children and children shouldn't be watching, cunt. Next. So we're just going to take on some ghouls here, and it should be rather easy. We're not going to have a horrible time with these guys. In fact, what I want to do is see if we can pull ourselves out of a situation that would kill lesser weapons. So ringing the dinner bell on these tools, we'll see if we can't turn this situation around. The lighting in this room is off. That might be from the skylights or something. There's no sunlight coming through. So yeah, sneaking in here is a little bit easier when it's night, of course. And just the one-shot, one-kill spam right now. There you go, there's Gunfu working, and more evidence of this thing's prowess in that's you know, with its AP per shot usage, which is good. So I don't think the 25% less VATS effect on this is as needed on a rifle like this when it comes to using it on a Scorch Beast Queen. So there might be some other things. That's a good drop, by the way. That's truly god tier. There might be some other things here and there that might be worth using when they get that, whoops, this is the exit, when they get that plus 250 damage resistance whilst reloading perk fix, which they said they are going to do that, so yay. I've got I think a Bloodied Firerate assault rifle with that on it. We can see how that goes, which, you know, under normal circumstances, it would synergize really well. Maybe not for something that reloads as quick like that, because you'll be less likely to be caught mid-reload than any other things. Actually, this is a staircase of death. I usually get detected on these, but not today. So apparently the Scorched were really just 10 out of 10 perception, but these ghouls are a solid fucking 2 right now. And then again, Winter's like Batman. She just goes into a shadow and she's completely invisible. In fact, all of my angels are trained in the Batman arts. That's why they're all Mary Sues. Moving on to this room. I don't think there's any nerd ghouls here to play with the computer, so I'll ring that bell at I guess I'll call it the bell though, but it's not. It's the terminal that brings all the people here, which I will go to now and try to fill up empty space by talking. Do you find my voice entertaining? I've got a bunch of weapons that I need to get rid of too, and I don't want to script them because it'd be a waste, because they're actually good weapons. So, like, I've got a list of them. The past couple of videos I've said, hey, if you want this thing, contact me, and nobody does. I'm not asking for high tier trades, just something cool, you know? Trade a good weapon or an effective weapon for something interesting to show off in a video, then I'll probably end up selling that one too. But yeah, against the ghouls, no bloody problem. I try to pick up that camera, but apparently it's bolted to the counter. That's tragic. That's the worst thing that's happened to me all day. So my day's actually going pretty well. Alrighty, we're skipping the outside of Moody's Plaza, and I'm going to give myself a challenge. And the challenge is to not sneak. We'll see how well we go. This time I'm going to have to be a little bit more cautious of my cover. I can't just run out in the open, and any super mutants running at me with some sort of melee weapon will have to be dealt with nice and fast. I haven't disabled my crouch button, but I can feel myself and my muscle memory saying, press the crouch button, what are you doing? But you can't get better at nuclear winter by shooting at stationary super mutant targets. You need to work on your aim, you need to do well, and I've kind of just been rushing through, just trying to just send it so I can get to rank 100, and it's kind of not been working all that well. There's a lot of good people on nuclear winter that actually have the patience that I don't, because they're already ranked fucking 250, but as you can tell, without my blatant reliance on sneak attack criticals, this thing is definitely doing well, and this is where the lack of ammo capacity will bite us a little bit, because we're taking many shots to kill our enemies, and any radiation damage we do receive is going to not particularly help with our survival. But luckily for me, I still know how to use cover, and I might as well use third persons like I'm actually playing nuclear winter. There we go. Yeah, it's a little bit more inconsistent when you're not using this thing with sneak criticals, because you're not, well, sometimes I'm just shooting my enemies probably more than I need to have them die, but we'll see. We'll just watch the health bar. We'll aim down sights as we go the corner, which is not what you do in nuclear winter, but, you know, getting that extra damage resistance or supposed damage resistance probably helps a little bit. We don't have ground pounder to make our reloads super fast, but considering that concentrated fire is dead weight right now, thank God for the barrel spin up, or I would have been a very dead goth chick just then. Yes, considering that that's doing nothing, I'll chuck on ground pounder, which gives us better reload times and superior hipfire accuracy. Almost crouched there for a second. He is an ice skating super mutant, very rare. Sad to see him dead. But you can tell right from shooting at that target, as soon as I, put my finger on the trigger, held it down for more than 2 bullets, this thing just started dancing around. It's very, very hard to counter the recoil, because it feels like it's just bouncing in every single direction that it wants to. I wonder what would happen if you put this on the Battlefield's algorithm for recoil, or what the right and left and horizontal or vertical spread is. I reckon it'd be fairly high, but the hell room is going to be the really bad hell room. That's why I'm entering from this side today, because I feel like it's a little bit easier to play this way, especially when you can shoot the doggo before he gets his howl off, but I'm pretty sure would be detected anyway. No use trying to play this too stealthy, and make sure we aim for the head in these areas, because, or if we can reach the head, that'd be good. But if we do, more damage for me, a little bit better ammo efficiency. And I was probably distracted for a little bit too long on that super mutant with the hammer, but luckily I was able to dispatch him, and I've got high perception, so I can... Yeah, shut up, super mutant. You're only winning because I'm not using stealth. I'm pulling my punches, damn it. That's sort of the main difference between a stealth commando build, and I've just gone full stealth mode now, and something like a bloodied heavy gun build, because you can make yourself... I'm pretty sure I've gotten that drop before from Murmur, but yeah, you can make yourself tanky, you can use power armor, you can do all that, but yeah, I suppose you can use it too if you're using a commando build that is bloodied without the stealthiness, but honestly, why would you, when you've got all of these extra special stats on tap whenever you like, when you're just at this health, which means better accuracy in VATs, more criticals and everything, where your guns are actually a little bit more better suited to making use of VATs. So there's no real reason to jump in power armor, but, it's hard to justify the use of not being tank. I can't believe I missed that guy. And a cloaking urban scout thing. Wow, look at that. That's not too bad, except for the fact that it is cloaking, but yeah. So... yeah, if we use this thing not as a stealth commando build and built for... we're not really got the greatest defense in the world, but yeah, It's not great, but you know, and that might be the difference between using this weapon and really enjoying it and then not enjoying it. It's just kind of depends on how good you can sneak, and luckily I did go back into sneak there because I'm not done yet. So whoever super mutant is left, would you please stand up? I don't really know where he is, but honestly, I'm happy enough to call that video there. So if you'd like to see this weapon in your game, it's not a legacy drop, you can still get this. Probably hit up Murmur. Murmur will probably give you this thing if you ask her nicely enough. Oh, it's just a doggo jammed in a door. Put him out of his misery. But yeah, just random legendary drops. I don't know how many comments that I get per week about how do you get this, man. A lot of the stuff is just random legendary drops, unless it is legacy. Then you just trade a duper for it. But you know, if you ask for real money, tell him to go fuck himself. But yeah, that is enough for me. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'm going to fix this lighting. And there's going to be one super mutant left in here, but he doesn't seem to have noticed that all of his friends are dead.